want me to do the entire State of the Union address in 22 seconds? I can do it. I can give you an entire speech from President Biden in just 22 seconds. It's Friday. Welcome to the Dan O'Donnell Show. Complete analysis of President Biden's hopefully final State of the Union. Throughout the show today, since it is Friday, we take a look back at the strangest stories of the past week. How bizarre, coming up in the 10 o'clock hour, and much, much more. If you'd like to join us, adventknows.com talk and text line always open. 414-799-1130, 1-800-838-9476. Email me, dod@iheartmedia.com, at Dan O'Donnell Show on X, where you can watch the show streaming live via our DanoCam. Also watch the show on Facebook, facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show, or on our YouTube channel. Like and subscribe, youtube.com/Dan O'Donnell Show. Here we go. Okay, I lied. 25 seconds. I forgot I added one more soundbite. 25 seconds. Here is President Biden's 2024 State of the Union address.
Good evening. If I were smart, I'd go home now. The threat to democracy must be defended, but Israel has Israel has a added burden, and their legacies inspired me to pursue a career in service. But if you want to get in Air Force One, we invited Toronto, Berlin, Moscow. My God, what freedom else would you take away?
Ladies and gentlemen, President Biden's 2024 State of the Union address in 25 seconds. You know, it was a very big night. Very, very big night. A lot on the line. In fact, it was a night akin to the Super Bowl. Not for Biden, but for the guy in charge of doping him up real good every time he has to speak in public. I don't know what exactly the president was on, but I know Hunter Biden was watching that speech thinking, I gotta get me some of that. His cadence seemed off. He was slurring his words. In other words, it was a pretty typical Biden speech. So typical, in fact, he actually did get lost both on the way up to give the State of the Union address. He couldn't find his way to the giant dais at the front of the room. Here's what it sounded like. It was either a Secret Service agent or Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts saying, yeah, you go this way, buddy.
All right, we're going this way.
As the crowd, Democrats all, was chanting, 4 more years, 4 more years. President Biden was saying, am I going this way? Someone says, yes, sir. Then he got lost again after the speech. Now, the cameras were focused on the president glad-handing with Democrat supporters in Congress, shaking hands, talking, making small talk. I'm thinking the man had no earthly idea how to get out of the room.
Am I going? Which way?
This way. Right here. Right here.
Which way am I going?
And then right this way. We're going to go up right there.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. Give this to my assistant.
We're just going to follow the sergeant of arms this way, sir.
Am I going this way? Which way? Am I going? I see big doors over there. Do I go out those or just follow, sir? Just follow the sergeant at arms. It'll be okay. Now, before the speech even started, there was a whole lot of confusion because President Biden was very, very late. Now, it's sort of par for the course for Biden, and it was par for the course for both Trump and Obama before him. President Bush seems to have been the last president for whom punctuality was a thing. For regular speeches or press conferences, they might start at 10 a.m., they might start at 10:30. Hence, whenever the president or someone is scheduled to speak during this show, we say, well, we're hoping the president will speak at 10:15 or whenever he's scheduled to speak, because things happen, things get delayed. But the State of the Union address is different. This is never delayed. Never. Because it's such a choreographed, it's such a carefully orchestrated event. Look, folks, you've heard about the concept of the designated survivor, right? They even made a television show about it. I actually didn't look who the designated survivor was this year. Oh, as the Secretary of Education. Thank you, Dave. Good pull. Everyone who's anyone in power in the United States is in one room. This is a big event. It's a big event for the Secret Service. It's a big event for the television networks who all broadcast it. It's huge. As such, it is sort of predicated on starting on time. This year, it didn't, and nobody is sure why. Nobody knows why President Biden was so late to his own State of the Union address. No, I'm kidding. Everybody knows why he was late. Nobody wants to say it. It's because the pro-Palestinian mob was blocking Pennsylvania Avenue. CNN last night.
Dozens of ceasefire protesters standing just a block or two away from the Capitol. They have shut down Pennsylvania Avenue, this major road, what they believe could be the motorcade route for President Biden as he makes his way from the White House to the Capitol for the State of the Union speech. Now, of course, they know it is unlikely that they would actually stop the motorcade. Did they consider this more of a symbolic protest?
Oh, yeah, there's no way they would stop the motorcade or delay it for a half hour. Nobody wants to admit that this was, in fact, the reason that President Biden was late. And it wasn't because they were blocking the road or anything like that, but because this is such a heavily secure event. And obviously, the presidential motorcade, where everyone in the world knows exactly where he's going, and there are dozens and dozens and dozens of half-crazy leftist protesters lining the streets, there needs to be a plan in place to get the president safely from point A, the White House, to point B, the Capitol. This was the reason that he was late. Nobody wants to admit it because it would be admitting that this was an incredibly successful leftist protest of a Democrat president who, by the way, faced serious uncommitted votes in the very heavily Muslim states of both Minnesota and Michigan. One of those states, Michigan, he absolutely has to win if he wants to have a prayer of winning a second term. Admitting that the pro-Palestinian protest of the presidential motorcade was a success would be to admit that the president's base, there was not a single conservative in there. You had Congressman Van Orden from Wisconsin yelling lies during the middle of the speech. We're in communication with Congressman Van Orden. He does have a vote this morning. We're hoping to get him on the Dan O'Donnell show. It wasn't Van Orden in that crowd. It wasn't Marjorie Taylor Greene yelling Laken Riley's name in that crowd. It was all leftist. 100% of that crowd votes Democrat. I feel very, very strongly saying that. 100% of the crowd in Washington, D.C., a city that's 90% Democrat to begin with, and a pro-Palestinian protest mob, they're all Democrats. The media does not want to admit, Democrats do not want to admit that Biden is in deep, deep trouble with his left flank, as evidenced by the fact that you actually had the vice president, for the first time, someone in the administration saying, yes, we need a ceasefire. And if you saw a couple of shots of the pro-Hamas caucus in the gallery of the House chamber during the State of the Union address, you saw Rashida Tlaib, and who was it sitting next to her? Was it Bush? She was wearing a keffiyeh. They were holding up signs saying ceasefire now. They were protesting the president's speech during the president's speech. This is a major problem that no Democrat wants to confront. It's not as though all of these pro-Palestinian protesters will suddenly vote for Trump. But there is a real chance that a significant percentage of them, if this war is still raging, if the issue of a free Palestine is still a big one in November, there's a real risk that these people don't turn out for Biden. What I always say is that speeches, debates, States of the Union, whatever it is, it's not about the totality of the speech, because the only people who are watching the entire speech are those whose minds are already made up. Either you hate Biden, either you love Biden, either you're going to hold your nose and vote for the old codger because you're so scared of democracy dying. If a majority of the American people vote for Donald Trump, that apparently is the end of democracy. When we have democracy and democracy elects the wrong guy, democracy dies. This apparently is the new leftist line. nobody watches the entire speech. Everybody is. I was talking to one of my old college roommates, a very, very good friend of mine. He's from Boston, and he now lives in the Cleveland area. And we were just kind of going back. He's a big liberal, hilarious guy, one of the funniest guys I've ever met, one of my very best lifelong friends. And he and I are texting back and forth. And, you know, he's getting in digs at Trump and I'm getting in digs at Biden. We're just cracking each other up, which, by the way, is how friends should talk about politics. Just make jokes. Just be funny. Always, you know, understand, respect each other, whatever. He says, yeah, I was watching until the Celtics started playing the Nuggets. As soon as tip-off happened, I was gone. And I'm like, yeah, well, you're watching a possible NBA Finals preview. I can't say I blamed you. He's like, what did I miss? I said, a lot of muttering, a lot of angry squinting, a lot of yelling about Snickers bars. In other words, pretty much par for the course for Joe Biden. Speeches are about moments because of my former roommate, because of my lifelong friend, because he's not going to watch the entire thing. His mind is already made up, but he's not so deeply involved in politics that politics is going to take over his life. He was watching the Celtics game with his son. It's about the moments that resonate. Last night, there was one moment that resonated, and it was not the moment Biden wanted. As he was walking up to the dais to give his speech, after he found his way, after he was pointed in the right direction by the sergeant at arms, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Congresswoman from Georgia, hands him a pin with the name Laken Riley on it and says, "Say her name, Mr. President, say her name." Well, after some yelling from the gallery by MTG, Biden did. Kind of.
I'd be a winner. Not really. Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. That's right. But how many of the thousands of people being killed by illegals? To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to you, having lost children myself. I understand.
Okay, a lot to unpack there. First of all, Lincoln Riley was not murdered. He is the head coach of the USC Trojans football team. To my knowledge, he is just fine. It's okay, USC fans. You can still compete for a national title. Your coach is alive and well. Laken Riley was murdered by an illegal. But you can't say he's an illegal. Leftists are freaking out. Not just the radical, way too online left. I am talking Democrat squad member congresswomen are tweeting out, "I am deeply disappointed that the president said the word illegal. How dare he," I guess you can't call it misgender, misterm a brutal murderer? How dare we? We are not super concerned about the fact that a 22-year-old young woman is dead at the hands of a Venezuelan suspected gang member who was arrested twice in 2 different states and set free while roaming around the country committing crimes all over the place, getting closer and closer to Laken, not Lincoln Riley, and being able to murder her because of left-wing policies. No. We're not concerned about the policies that we wholeheartedly support. Open borders, no bail release for dangerous criminals, no deportation, no even communication with ICE when there is a criminal illegal in custody. No. We're not concerned about that. We're concerned that the president didn't use the word undocumented. Last night, after a highlight of that moment was played on CNN, Nancy Pelosi did her best school marm in correcting the president.
Now, you should have said undocumented, but that's not a big thing, okay? What's the big thing about that?
No, I actually wasn't even going to ask about that. I was just going to ask more about the moment. But you do think that he should have said undocumented? That wasn't going to be my question.
Well, we usually say undocumented.
We say undocumented. We don't say illegal. Now, Nancy didn't think this was a big thing, but to the left wing, which already doesn't like Biden all that much, it was. All morning long, this has been the discourse. Why is this president sounding like Trump? Why is this no human being is illegal. Even the ones who bludgeoned the skull of an innocent college student, apparently. This is yet another example of how President Biden is facing a significant threat from his left flank. We will have, of course, much more on the State of the Union. We'll take your calls. We'll read some of your texts. All next here on The Dan O'Donnell Show.
Keep in touch with Dan on Twitter at Dan O'Donnell Show.
More of the show next.
Hi, Regular Joe Gigante here, reaching out at a critical moment for our republic. Right now, the very foundation of our democratic process is under threat by Robin Vos and his cronies. They're spreading falsehoods claiming a recall election would cost $450,000 and unfairly divert funds from vital services like EMS. This is a deliberate attempt to mislead and manipulate the public and simply isn't true. But why resort to such tactics? Well, simply put, Robin Vos fears the power of accountability. If they're willing to lie about this, what else are they willing to lie about? Concerns even extend to personal extravagances like Voss's lavish trip to Italy, where he held his most recent wedding. What are they trying to hide? The Voss Mafia is playing dangerous games with our democratic values. It's time to hold Robin Vos and his sycophants accountable by signing the recall petition against Robin Vos. Join the thousands of your neighbors in signing the petition. Visit recallvos.com. recallvos.com for more information.
Paid for by Recall Voss.
At Affordable Dentures and Implants, our Snap Secure dental implants will let you eat and speak with confidence at a price that's affordable. So if you think you can't afford dental implants, think again. Our practices in Milwaukee, Kenosha, and Menominee Falls are open to serve you. Schedule a free new smile consultation by calling 1-800-DENTURE or visit AffordableDentures.com to find the practice near you. That's 1-800-DENTURE or visit AffordableDentures.com. Schedule your new smile consultation today. Affordable Dentures and Implants. Go ahead and smile.
Go ahead and smile.
Skip waiting for a table. Enjoy a homemade fish fry every Friday at Sendik's. Enjoy 3 pieces of beer-battered, wild-caught Northern Atlantic cod. With your choice of Sendik's original potato pancakes or French fries, your meal comes with all the fixins: fresh rye bread, creamy coleslaw, homemade applesauce, and Sendik's tartar sauce. Or choose from fried shrimp, walleye fillets, or baked cod. Every Friday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. at your neighborhood Sendik's. Sendik's Food Markets, your trusted local grocer.
Hey, a lot of you know that I learned how to use a firearm when I was 11 years old. I've been practicing my entire life, and people ask me all the time, Hannity, what kind of gun should I get? Well, now I'm telling them, go to Henry Repeating Arms. And I always tell them to start just by going to their website, henryusa.com. You're going to get a free catalog. Now, Henry has over 200 models of rifles and shotguns to choose from. They're made with the finest craftsmanship I've ever seen, and you don't beat their performance. Every one I had was accurate right out of the box and reliable ever since. Their company motto is made in America or not made at all. They have a lifetime warranty, family-owned business, and these folks are true patriots who give back to our military, our vets, our first responders, sick kids, you name it. They support gun safety, and they support our Second Amendment. So if you're in the market for a high-quality American-made firearm, just go to henryusa.com. You get their free catalog, list of dealers, and free decals, henryusa.com. You'll love this company.
Classical conservatism, contemporary style. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show. I want to take you back all the way to 2016, the summer of 2016, specifically last week of July. Donald J. Trump belittled the parents of a slain Muslim soldier who had strongly denounced Mr. Trump during the Democratic National Convention, saying that the soldier's father had delivered the entire speech because his mother was not allowed to speak. The story from the New York Times, a blistering rebuke of this awful man. Mr. Trump's comments in an interview with George Stephanopoulos of ABC News that will air on Sunday drew quick and widespread condemnation and amplified calls for Republican leaders to distance themselves from their presidential nominee, with his implication that the soldier's mother had not spoken because of female subservience expected in some traditional strains of Islam. His comments also inflamed his hostilities with American Muslims. If I said the name Khizr Khan, would you remember? It was 8 years ago, I'll grant you. He was the Gold Star father who was talking about President Trump and his proposed Muslim ban and saying, look, my son died for this country. This was a week-long news cycle. In fact, President Obama even spoke out about this.
No one has given more for our freedom and our security than our Gold Star families.
Governor John Kasich of Ohio, a rival of Mr. Trump's in the Republican primaries who has refused to endorse him, castigated him on Twitter. There's only one way to talk about Gold Star parents: with honor and respect. Man. Hillary Clinton. Mr. Trump's Democratic opponent said he was not a normal presidential candidate. Someone who attacks everybody has something missing, she told a crowd at a campaign stop in Youngstown, Ohio. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to get into that. Mr. Khan's speech at the convention in Philadelphia was one of the most powerful given there. It was effectively the Democratic response to comments Mr. Trump has made, implying many American Muslims have terrorist sympathies or stay silent when they know ones who do. Mr. Trump has called to ban Muslim immigration as a way to combat terrorism. It was a week-long news cycle, more than a week-long news cycle. How dare President Trump, how dare he criticize Gold Star families? How dare he? Well, last night at the State of the Union, President Biden's administration had a Gold Star father arrested. It was a moment that I think a lot of people couldn't really tell what was going on. From the gallery, Steve Nkoui, or Nkoui, I apologize, I don't know how to pronounce the name. He's 51 years old. He's the father of a U.S. Marine who was killed at Abbey Gate. People weren't sure what he was yelling. He was yelling, Abbey Gate, 19 Marines. His son, Kareem Nkoui, was one of them. And as President Biden was talking about how great his administration was doing at getting the crime rate down, Nkoui could take no more.
To state the obvious, all Americans deserve the freedom to be safe. And America is safer today than when I took office. The year before I took office, murder rates went up 30%. 30% they went up. The biggest increase in history. It was then, through my American Rescue Plan, which every American voted against, I might add, we made the largest investment in public safety ever.
Did you catch that? His American Rescue Plan, which every American voted against. Well, now that every American has seen the results of the American Rescue Plan, yeah, every American clearly is against it. He meant to say every Republican voted against. Now, Nkoui was a guest of Florida Representative Brian Mast, who said in a statement explaining his choice of a guest, by inviting Steve to join the State of the Union, I am reminding President Biden of the damage he has done to national security and American families, specifically Gold Star families, specifically the Gold Star families who were killed during that disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, which President Biden has never, not in the 3 years since it happened, taken accountability for. Nkoui was actually removed from the House gallery and arrested by the Capitol Police. Misdemeanor charge of crowding or obstructing. He was arrested for protesting in the Capitol. He was arrested. There were dozens of pro-Palestinian protesters outside the White House on Pennsylvania Avenue, literally blocking the route for the President of the United States to deliver the State of the Union, which, by the way, is a constitutionally required obligation for the president. In other words, these people were literally obstructing. The president, because of that, was a half hour late to do so. They were literally obstructing an official government function. Sounds sort of insurrection-y, doesn't it? Not a single one was arrested. Not one. A Gold Star father is so heartbroken, is so disgusted by his son's commander-in-chief that he dares to speak out something that has been happening to President Biden by the pro-Palestinian crowd, screams of Genocide Joe. Everywhere he goes, it seems, no arrests. Was this guy violent? Was this guy doing anything that isn't constitutionally protected? He was not. He was arrested. Was he blocking or impeding traffic? Was he so threatening the security of the President of the United States that the entire State of the Union was delayed by a half hour? No. He was engaged in literally constitutionally protected speech in the People's House, the place that is designated for the people, for people like him, to petition their congresspeople, to meet with their congresspeople, for their representatives to speak and to vote on their behalf. He was arrested. Week-long news cycle for President Trump to say, or candidate Trump, I guess I should say. He wasn't even president then. For candidate Trump to say, yeah, I think the dad spoke because the wife wasn't allowed to. So, insulting comment, sure. Week-long news cycle. You will not hear the name Steve Nakui after today. They are already trying to bury. He was arrested. He was arrested. Biden's goons had him, a Gold Star father, arrested. Are we going to have a week-long discussion about respect for Gold Star fathers? Is every Democrat in the universe going to have a microphone stuck in their face saying, why don't you? Do you support the arrest of Gold Star families for demanding some answers from the president about the death of their loved one? These are the very best among us. Gold Star families should be beyond reproach. But Biden's police officers are arresting one. Not for doing anything illegal. I mean, Derek Van Orden, who we hope to have on the show at about 10:35, 10:40, somewhere about an hour from now, Van Orden gets up and yells lies in the middle of the speech. He wasn't arrested. You had Marjorie Taylor Greene get up and say her name. She wasn't arrested. Only the Gold Star father was arrested. Interesting. Dan O'Donnell Show coming right back. It is conservative thought, not just talk.
Hi, Regular Joe Gigante here, reaching out at a critical moment for our republic. Right now, the very foundation of our democratic process is under threat by Robin Vos and his cronies. They're spreading falsehoods claiming a recall election would cost $450,000 and unfairly divert funds from vital services like EMS. This is a deliberate attempt to mislead and manipulate the public and simply isn't true. But why resort to such tactics? Well, simply put, Robin Vos fears the power of accountability. If they're willing to lie about this this, what else are they willing to lie about? Concerns even extend to personal extravagances like Voss's lavish trip to Italy, where he held his most recent wedding. What are they trying to hide? The Voss Mafia is playing dangerous games with our democratic values. It's time to hold Robin Voss and his sycophants accountable by signing the recall petition against Robin Voss. Join the thousands of your neighbors in signing the petition. Visit recallvoss.com. Recallvos.com for more information.
Paid for by Recall Voss.
Hey, Dan O'Donnell here for the Lynch family of dealerships. I've been a big proponent of Lynch for a while now. Here's why. They're literally a family dealership and have been since 1957. That's increasingly rare in the dealership world today, but the Lynch family employs 500 plus people who are all dedicated to taking care of you. They've got a wide selection of new and used vehicles, extended service department hours for early drop-offs and late pickups, and most importantly, they're proud supporters of our local communities and schools. They also stand behind what they sell with Lynch-certified used vehicles, including a 168-point inspection to determine eligibility, an unparalleled 90-day or 3,000-mile certified guarantee, and a 10-day 500-mile exchange policy. And when you pair this with the Lynch Protected program, they cover your paint, your windshield, and your tires, it's easy to see why you should consider Lynch. Check them out today at shoplynch.com.
Hey guys, welcome to the Home Box Stop. Ready for those new kitchen cabinets and countertops? Okay, well, let's get you guys going. Inches, centimeters, inches, right?
Right.
Is this your first time? Oh, no. Been here for years. Actually, in light bulbs. I'm covering for Karen. She took the week off. One sec. No worries. The computer does all the work.
Customer assistance to light bulbs.
Oh, that's me, BRB.
Yeah, let's go.
Granite Plus?
Hurry, here she comes.
Hi, I'm Laz with Granite Plus. Countertops and cabinets is what we do. As a meticulously detailed local fabricator, say goodbye to the middleman and upgrade your home with real factory direct savings. Homeowners, flippers, contractors, why would you pay more? Go to graniteplususa.com, that's graniteplususa.com, or visit any of our Milwaukee area showrooms and start saving today.
Struggling to get rid of those unwanted pounds? Stress, aging, and so many factors that are near impossible to control lead to diet and exercise resistant fat. Fat that's not your fault, but is for sure a problem. Well, until now. The doctors and experienced staff at a Younger You Medical Spa can help you get rid of stubborn, unwanted fat. With Cool Sculpting, they have performed over 5,000 treatments to help clients feel fit and confident. This fat freezing procedure uses cooling to remove fat from areas such as thighs, stomach, love handles, arms, and underneath the chin. Cool Sculpting is a non-surgical way to reduce fat and get the body you've always dreamed of. An FDA-cleared and clinically proven procedure that freezes unwanted fat cells for good with little to no downtime. And treatments are just under an hour. And with their amazing special of 50% off 8+ treatments, it's never been more affordable to transform your body for good. Book your free consultation now at Younger You Medical Spa in Brookfield and Burlington or at ayounger.com.
Hi, this is Scott Trout of Cordell & Cordell. There are a lot of great dads out there. Sometimes those dads get divorced. For more than 30 years, we have represented men in divorce, confronting the pitfalls that could devastate your finances or harm your family relationships. While every situation is different, our goal is to get the best outcome for you and your kids. Visit CordellCordell.com to take the first step.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Milwaukee attorneys. 111 East Kilbourne Avenue, Suite 1650, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53202.
Labor shortages, retention problems. It's been a challenging time for my business. But in Wisconsin, there's 600,000 people with disabilities who are ready to work right now. They just need you to believe in them and say yes. I did.
And once you say yes, Thinkability Wisconsin will be there, providing transition and workforce support for people with disabilities and their employers to help shape a better future for all. It all starts when you say yes. Join the movement at thinkabilitywi.org.
iHeart Podcast Update. This week on your free iHeartRadio app. Math and Magic. Stories from the frontiers of marketing with Bob Pittman, Season 6. Join iHeartMedia Chairman and CEO as he analyzes the math and magic of marketing, sitting down with today's most gifted disruptors. Marketing School, digital marketing and online marketing tips. Actionable digital marketing lessons learned through years of being in the trenches. Office Hours with Mike Stipe. Mike sits down with the world's most important chief chief executives to answer your most pressing questions about leadership, career, and life. Hear these podcasts and more on your free iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Pure Talk believes in American values and that free should mean exactly that, free. Well, switch to Pure Talk today and you'll get a free Samsung 5G smartphone. Now, qualifying plans start at just $35 a month for unlimited talk, text, 15 gigs of data, and, of course, mobile hotspot. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword Pure Talk, claim your eligibility for your free brand new Samsung 5G smartphone. Start saving on wireless today and switch to my cell phone company, Pure Talk.
Now, back to the Dan O'Donnell Show.
For those who didn't stay up to watch the speech or who had other stuff going on, I'm going to assume that's most of you. Here's President Biden's entire State of the Union in 25 seconds.
Good evening. If I were smart, I'd go home now. The threat to democracy must be defended, but Israel has Israel has a added burden, and their legacy inspired me to pursue a career in service. But if you want to get in Air Force One, we invited Toronto, Berlin, Moscow. My God, what freedom else would you take away?
What freedom else would you take away, good sir? I'll tell you what freedom else. The freedom else to protest a State of the Union address. We had a guy, Gold Star father, led away in handcuffs, charged with a misdemeanor. Unfortunately, he is now going to be thrown in a gulag without charges for the next 3 years. I mean, isn't that what we do when you protest in the U.S. Capitol? Interestingly enough, Derek Van Orden, congressman from Wisconsin, did almost the exact same thing, yelling lies when President Biden took aim at former President Trump for his handling of COVID.
My predecessor failed the most basic presidential duty that he owes to American people, the duty to care. I think that's unforgivable.
You can just tell Van Orden is getting madder and madder and madder until he just sort of explodes. Lies! We will talk with the congressman, his first interview since that. It appears we only talk to Congressman Van Orden after he gets into some altercation with somebody at the U.S. Capitol. This is going to be fun. We had a fun interview with him. Was that last year, earlier this year at some point, where the Capitol staffers were doing TikTok videos and selfies on the floor of the rotunda. He came out and yelled at him. And this was a huge scandal because, we can't have an old man yelling at people in the United States Capitol. We save that for the State of the Union address. Oh, my gosh. Journal Sentinel, breathless article. They quote Mark Pocan, who frequently assails Van Orden for his behavior. He was quick to criticize him, labeling Van Orden's behavior unbecoming, and called on him to formally apologize to the president. This is the pot calling the kettle black. He is an unstable person, Pocan tweeted after the address, certainly not capable of his job on Congress. In Congress, I think, Pocan meant. Just seriously, go to Pocan's Twitter account, or X account, and you tell me at Mark Pocan, Pocan, and go back through the years 2017 to 2021, and I want you to find it. He's sort of continued the deep level of respect that he shows the president of the United States when that president is not from his political party. I did think it was interesting, though. Remember how Biden was widely mocked and criticized for saying in his first term, we're going to cure cancer. We're going to take a cancer moonshot. We are going to cure cancer. In one breath, he is saying Trump failed in his basic duty, the duty to care for Americans with COVID. In the next breath, he's giving Trump credit for curing cancer. Listen to this.
The pandemic no longer controls our lives. The vaccines that saved us from COVID are now being used to beat cancer, turning setback into comeback. That's what America does.
Yeah.
That's what America does.
Sure is. Thank you so much, President Trump, for Operation Warp Speed, which developed the COVID vaccines that are now being used to cure cancer. President Trump fulfilled so many campaign promises. He even fulfills President Biden's campaign promises. The COVID, that is actually true. There are some forms of cancer that the COVID vaccines, I was reading about this, actually fascinating. I was reading about the treatment of cancer. It's not curing cancer. It's being used to treat the COVID-19 vaccines. It's almost as though, and I know I'm going to say something wild and controversial. It's almost as though drugs can be used to treat diseases for which they weren't originally intended. I mean, this is mind-blowing stuff. It's almost as though you could use a malaria medication that is generic to treat COVID-19, or does it not work that way? It's almost like you could use a diabetes medicine to get thin. See, Ozempic, yeah, awesome. COVID-19 vaccine, yeah, awesome. We use them for ways they're not intended. What about the cheap malaria drug that was competing with the very expensive COVID vaccines that we were told were the only known way to stop COVID-19 were these vaccines? Oh, hydroxychloroquine? Psh, no. That's like injecting bleach into your mouth, like Trump suggests. Why don't you just wash out the disease with bleach, you Neanderthal troglodyte? Hydroxychloroquine? What was the other one, the generic drug that was used to treat COVID that they said, absolutely you can? Ivermectin, thank you. Oh, the horse dewormer, like that's going to treat COVID-19. You can't use a drug for its unintended purpose. You simply can't do that. How dare you treat cancer with the COVID-19 vaccine? All sorts of irony embedded in that one little statement from President Biden during his State of the Union. Unhinged liberal of the day coming up next. Coming up at 10:35, we talk with Derek Van Orden. Stay tuned.
The next generation is here. You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show.
Dan O'Donnell here for Mander Collision and Glass, the best decision after a collision. And you hear me talking all the time about how great Mander is, but here's customer Amber, who writes, the quality of customer service at Mander in Muskego has far exceeded my expectations. After being involved in an accident, not my fault, and having experienced some significant difficulties communicating with the individual that hit me, Mander went above and beyond to ensure my needs were being met. I have never felt so confident and secure as a customer. The staff truly has their customers' best interests at heart and shows it through their actions. Thank you, Mander, for alleviating my stress through an undesirable chain of events. Thanks so much for sharing your experience, Amber, because that's yet another reason why I recommend Mander so highly. Now with 6 locations to serve you, Mander truly is your best decision after a collision.
With nearly 50 years of experience, my dad, Jim Mullally, has taught my cousin Mark everything he knows. In fact, he bestowed so much expertise onto Mark that Mark went to New York to compete against the top furniture finishers in the country. And you know what? He won. So if you're looking for the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com. The bulk of our business is in wood furniture restoration. We found that there are a lot of folks out there with antique furniture and heirloom pieces that are in good shape, but just need to be brought back to life again. Well, that's our specialty. And right here in Mequon, you'll find one of the country's top furniture finishers. So if you want only the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Where no job's too small. Serving everywhere. Quality counts.
Hi, Regular Joe Gigante here, reaching out at a critical moment for our republic. Right now, the very foundation of our democratic process is under threat by Robin Vos and his cronies. They're spreading falsehoods claiming a recall election would cost $450,000 and unfairly divert funds from vital services like EMS. This is a deliberate attempt to mislead and manipulate the public and simply isn't true. But why resort to such tactics? Well, simply put, Robin Vos fears the power of accountability. If they're willing to lie about this, what else are they willing to lie about? Concerns even extend to personal extravagances like Voss's lavish trip to Italy, where he held his most recent wedding. What are they trying to hide? The Voss Mafia is playing dangerous games with our democratic values. It's time to hold Robin Vos and his sycophants accountable by signing the recall petition against Robin Vos. Join the thousands of your neighbors in signing the petition. Visit recallvos.com. recallvos.com for more information.
Paid for by Recall Voss.
It's Blaine's Farm and Fleet's Rewards Members Spring Early Bird event. Now through March 20th, we're showing extra appreciation to our rewards members with exclusive members-only deals. Like buy 3 tires, get 1 free. Rewards members get an extra $25 instant savings and up to a $100 consumer rebate when you buy 4 Cooper tires. 20% off Milwaukee tape measures. And new Blaine's brand all-season wiper fluid, $2.49 a gallon. Shop unbeatable rewards member deals and more for just a limited time in-store or online at farmandfleet.com.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus.
If you could spend 1 month anywhere, where would you go?
Easy. I'd go to bed. Specifically, a new Tempur-Pedic from Hasselus Mattress.
Why?
Because I can take 60 months to pay for it. Through Monday, get 60 months interest-free financing on select Tempur-Pedic mattresses, plus a $300 MasterCard gift card.
Hang on.
What are you doing?
Searching for a travel agent to book a month-long vacation at Hasselus Mattress.
Find an employee-free showroom near you or shop online at hasselus.com.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Love podcasts? Pull out your phone right now. Open the free iHeartRadio app and check out these podcasts. History on Trial.
Only 30 minutes to put her body in the well.
Dateline NBC.
The first big clue in the mystery.
Mission Implausible.
The means to keep down what was then called the Third World.
Listen today on the iHeartRadio app. More than just the best radio, it's your favorite podcasts too. And best of all, it's absolutely free. iHeartRadio.
We have now confirmed Derek Van Orden, Wisconsin Congressman, 10:35. He will be giving his first broadcast interview, first extended interview after yelling lies during President Biden's State of the Union last night. We'll ask him, sir, do you think you should have been led out in handcuffs, or is that only reserved for Gold Star fathers who dare to speak up against the regime? If you were a Gold Star, now Van Orden, of course, is very proud service member. He is a decorated veteran, just all around good guy. Is there a better interview than Derek Van Orden in Wisconsin that we have on the show semi-regularly? I got to go. Hovde is very quickly rising the charts. I mean, he's not right. Like, Hovde is sort of like Victor Wembanyama. You know he's going to be good, but right now, Derek Van Orden is like the GOAT. He's like the Jordan of entertaining interviews on the Dan O'Donnell Show, because you just don't know what's going to happen. You don't know. He was yelling during the Capitol thing. Remember, he was yelling at me to do my research about, what was it? It was, the tweet he put out condemning the Capitol riot and all of that. Oh, he's fun. He's fun. You never know if he's just going to come out both guns blazing on the Dems. So I can't tell you folks how much I am looking forward to talking to him. Also, he's just a cool guy. I just genuinely like Derek Van Orden. He's just, and that's no disrespect, because soon to be former Congressman Mike Gallagher, incredibly intelligent guy. Brian Stile, incredibly intelligent. But there's just something about Van Orden I love. I love having the guy on the air. You know who my dream guest would be? Honest to goodness, in this state, Pocan. I think it would be fun. I honestly think if he could keep the insults to a minimum, going toe-to-toe with me would make for some great radio. Should we have our listeners call his office? Just like TikTok. Did you hear about this? TikTok yesterday had all of the brainwashed 13-year-olds of this country flood congressional offices with phone calls. Say, don't ban TikTok. Ah! You had all the TikTokers with their weepy... I don't know, Dave. I think we just stay away from TikTok. I mean, I guarantee the Chinese are already spying on me. No, I'm not on TikTok. I mean, I am. I don't post videos. I just, like, you need a TikTok account. I don't post anything in case there's something from like libs of TikTok or there's something. So I'm technically on Instagram. I'm technically on TikTok. I don't do anything with it. I just have the account, right? I mean, the reality is, everybody, oh, Dan, don't do this. The government's going to be spying on you. Biden, if anybody you know is being spied on, it's probably in this city. Jay Weber, Dan O'Donnell, Vicki McKenna, Mark Belling. I mean, I've always just sort of assumed that kind of goes with the territory of, basically doing what we do, that various governments are. So, to the Chinese agents who are monitoring this, Xi Jinping looks like Winnie the Pooh. Repeat, Xi Jinping looks like Winnie the Pooh.
Trump is Hitler.
We are in pre-Nazi Germany.
All white people are racist.
Does that make me crazy?
Trump is dangerous because he's evil. America is over.
The media has spent the better part of this morning telling us how great Biden's speech was. He was with it. He was cogent. He cleared the very low hurdle, the low bar that Republicans set for him. This was a speech for the ages. Is that why all elected Democrats seem to be talking about this morning, is the fact that Biden called an illegal immigrant murderer an illegal Nancy Pelosi here?
I should have said undocumented, but that's not a big thing, okay? What's the big thing about that?
No, I actually wasn't even going to ask about that. I was just going to ask more about the moment, but you do think that he should have said undocumented? That wasn't going to be my question.
Well, we usually say undocumented.
That was sort of the cue. This morning, every single left-wing Democrat, liberal talking heads, are all chastising Biden for saying Lincoln Riley, the USC head football coach, was murdered by an illegal, just like thousands of others. He sort of botched. I don't know what exactly he was trying to say. All of those Democrats freaking out about the president calling an illegal murderer are your unhinged liberals of the day. You know who was not impressed at all by President Biden's speech? The talking heads over at CNN. We get to that coming up next here on the Dan O'Donnell Show.
News that's factual, fair, and balanced. This is continuing coverage on News Talk 1130 WISN, Milwaukee.
Good morning, I'm Ted Allen. There are more details on the Tuesday morning stabbing of a Milwaukee County jail officer. A recently released inmate is in custody in what the sheriff's office calls a targeted attack. Fox 6 News reports the inmate filed a lawsuit against the jail in federal court just 3 weeks ago. The man accuses the 51-year-old sergeant and other jail staff of violating his rights while he was an inmate last year. The document also includes a court-ordered mental health health evaluation of the man, who's diagnosed with schizophrenia and other psychotic disorders. The sergeant has a punctured lung after being stabbed 4 times outside of the jail. A U.S. Department of Justice investigation has resulted in the suspension of nearly a dozen employees at Waupun Correctional Institution. That's following allegations of smuggling contraband into the prison, including drugs and cell phones. A spokesperson for Governor Tony Evers says the governor and the Department of Corrections requested the federal investigation last year. That was after the discovery of prohibited items inside the prison. It's unclear what jobs the employees on administrative leave held at the prison and whether criminal charges are being considered. President Biden's State of the Union address last night rebuked Republican policies and proposals and repeatedly blasted his predecessor, former President Donald Trump. Biden is being criticized for having his address sound more like a campaign speech, as he touched on numerous Democratic political issues and talking points that his campaign has highlighted in its re-election efforts. Checking the WISN Sports Scoreboard, the Bucks are in Los Angeles tonight to take on the Lakers. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Ted Allen on Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN.
Hi, Regular Joe Gigante here, reaching out at a critical moment for our republic. Right now, the very foundation of our democratic process is under threat by Robin Vos and his cronies. They're spreading falsehoods claiming a recall election would cost $450,000 and unfairly divert funds from vital services like EMS. This is a deliberate attempt to mislead and manipulate the public and simply isn't true. But why resort to such tactics? Well, simply put, Robin Vos fears the power of accountability. If they're willing to lie about this, what else are they willing to lie about? Concerns even extend to personal extravagances like Voss's lavish trip to Italy, where he held his most recent wedding. What are they trying to hide? The Voss Mafia is playing dangerous games with our democratic values. It's time to hold Robin Vos and his sycophants accountable by signing the recall petition against Robin Vos. Join the thousands of your neighbors in signing the petition. Visit recallvos.com. recallvos.com for more information.
Paid for by Recall Voss.
Here's the latest forecast from the Fox 6 weather experts.
Light rain this morning through the afternoon and on into the evening. Should add up to a half inch or more in many spots. Around 44 for the high. Should be 34 tonight. We could see some isolated rain or snow showers for our Saturday, 42. I'm Fox 6 Chief Meteorologist Rob Haswell.
This report is sponsored by InvisibleFence.com. Going stir crazy with your pet? Invisible Fence brand works in any weather so you can stay warm while your dog gets their energy out in the yard. Their local pet experts work with you to create a customized solution tailored to fit your pet. Learn more about how pets like yours gain independence at InvisibleFence.com.
So if you're already in a relationship with an auto service center, that's great. We hope things keep firing on all cylinders.
But if you're not in a relationship, why not book your next date with us at Richlands the next time you're due for service?
All of our locations are AAA approved and staffed by ASC certified technicians with PhDs in
We can fix anything! Put that on top of the friendliest, hardest working staff you'll ever meet inside a tire and service center,
and you've got yourself a rock solid date.
The next time you're due for factory scheduled maintenance
or tires, brakes, and suspension service,
book your date at richlands.com.
Or just Google us. But remember, Richlands is spelled with 2 N's.
And oh yeah, be safe, buckle up, and hey,
always make sure you have good tread on your tires. I'm Courtney Matchke with Richlands, and you're due for a date.
Clever.
Richlands Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richlands.
March is the time to get ahead of the summer heat and get your windows checked. Hey, I'm Benjamin Yant for Window Nation. Right now, for every 2 windows you buy, you get 2 free, plus 0 down, 0 interest, no payments for 24 months. Call 866-90-NATION or visit them, windownation.com.
Dan O'Donnell here for CertaPro Painters. If you're like me, you're still spending a lot of time at home. My home is my happy place, and that's why I trusted the pros at CertaPro to paint it the way I wanted. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated right here in the state. Schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C Pro.com. When choosing a painting professional, the choice is simple. Choose happy. Choose CertaPro Painters.
Spas. The Swim Spa Hot Tub and Sauna Show is coming this weekend only to the Wisconsin State Fair Cream Puff Pavilion. Rows and rows of spas, hot tubs, and swim spas. The largest display in the state. Save up to 60% off retail this weekend only at the Wisconsin State Fair Cream Puff Pavilion.
When it comes to windows and doors, your clear choice for more is Lisbon Storm Screen and Door. Just north of North Avenue at 50th and Lisbon, or at lisbonstorm.com.
Your clear choice for more. Lisbon Storm Screen and Door.
Are you over 30 and putting off life insurance? It's time to get a quick quote from Ethos, a better, easier way to get term life insurance, all online with no medical exam. Answer a few health questions and you could be approved for up to $2 million. Isn't it worth 10 minutes to help protect your family's financial security? Ethos, up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com.
Join News Talk 1130 this Saturday at 4 p.m. for The Word on Medicine, the show that brings you the latest medical innovations and discoveries by physicians and scientists at the Medical College of Wisconsin. That's Saturday afternoon at 4 on News Talk 1130 WISN.
News Talk 1130 WISN. Be sure to listen to the Annex Wealth Management Investment Show Saturday mornings at 11 and Sunday afternoons at 1 on News Talk 1130 WISN. Annex provides its expertise to arm listeners with the knowledge and tools to invest wisely. Annex Wealth Management. Know the difference.
Listen on the free iHeartRadio app for all your music, news, talk, and sports radio. Podcasts too. Download the app. Free never sounded so good.
Show starts now, and if you would like to be a part of it, the AdventKnows.com talk and text line is always open at 414-799-1130. Reach us toll free, 1-800-838-9476. Email me directly, dod@iheartmedia.com, at Dan O'Donnell Show on X, Facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show as well. Watch the show streaming live on YouTube, youtube.com/Dan O'Donnell Show. We do thank all of our new viewers this week. We have noticed a tremendous spike in people watching the live stream. We do appreciate it. Producer Dave says, election season, I think it is my rugged good looks. Have you noticed I haven't shaved all week? I know it's looking a little gray in the beard. Nah, I'd love to say that's the light, but the beard is shockingly gray. What happened to the glasses? Those got claimed by my oldest son, and the Harry Potter pair got claimed by my daughter. No. Those were, Dave wants to know about the glasses that I was wearing. Those aren't like glasses for my vision, although I have noticed that it's getting harder and harder to read small print. No, those were blue light glasses that my wife got me because, I stare at screens all day and it's not good for your vision. Well, it turns out my son liked the way he looked in mine, and my daughter just likes wearing glasses. For example, it's my wife's birthday a couple of days ago, and I got her some nice headphones. They're rose gold, which it's pink, looks like pink, but they're rose gold headphones so she can work out. She wanted to try them out today, see if they fit, the sound quality and all that. And my daughter instead claimed them for herself. Didn't have them plugged in, didn't have them turned on. She just liked wearing them. So this is sort of what happens in the O'Donnell house. Stuff gets claimed by the kids. There is a whole lot of colonizing. My kids are colonizers. They take what is rightfully ours. I feel like my daughter should be saying, I am now, she should have like a what is it called, a land declaration. I am now wearing headphones that originally belonged to the mommy tribe, gifted to them by the daddy tribe before the colonization of 2024. Coming up, bottom of this hour, we talk with Derek Van Orden, who is a Navy SEAL, and I do apologize. I couldn't remember he is a Navy SEAL, right, Dave? Dave is distracted by something. He's talking to somebody in there. All right, who, at the risk of sounding like belling, who is in there? We have... What? Why is there an architect here? There's an architect in here to take a look at the studio. Coming in the producer's room to look at yours. Well, invite him in. Get him a coffee. Come on in. Oh, they were here to ask permission. I'm telling you, I know I'm turning into belling day by day, but it is beyond distracting to see. So the way our producer's room sets up. No, I don't care if they're there and I can see them. It's the way our producer's room is set up is there is a wall that obscures the line of vision from the host's chair to the area right outside the door to get in the producer's room. So what happens is people come in and they talk to the producer thinking they're not distracting the host, when it is way more distracting to have the producer totally not paying attention to the show, looking straight off towards the door and talking to a disembodied voice. I would much rather have them stand right behind you and like massage your scalp while they talk to you. That would be less distracting for me. Speaking of getting distracted, President Biden, of course, thrown off a couple of times by a Gold Star father who he then had arrested. Do you think the Gold Star father has access to a lawyer? Do we think, because there is precedent for people protesting inside the Capitol and just sort of being held without charges and without access to lawyers for a couple of years during the Biden administration. I just want to know, does this guy get sent to the gulag? Is he currently in the dungeon underneath the White House? Or does he actually have habeas corpus rights? Does he actually get treated? Or, here's an interesting question, is he treated like the dude who killed Laken Riley and just arrested and then released without bail? NFL Memes, great X account, has a truly hilarious video up. It's pictures of Lincoln Riley, who's the USC football coach, and soft, sad piano music. And the caption is, "Can't believe he's gone." I retweeted that because it was just too funny not to. The reviews are in for President Biden's speech now that the media has had about 12 hours to get the narrative together. It is the greatest speech. My goodness, he was clear. He was focused. Democrats are proud. They are united. Republicans should be terrified. This is the Joe Biden that they fear, because this is the Joe Biden that will dominate come November. But last night, CNN was singing quite a different tune. Jake Tapper, for instance.
His presentation, his enunciation, of course, is not as clear as it once was a decade or two ago. His mind did seem fairly sharp. He ad-libbed a response to a pretty harsh moment, some heckling about the tragic murder of UGA student Laken Riley. He got her name wrong. He called her Lincoln Riley, but as a general note, he condemned her murder, which was something that people were talking about.
Anyone notice what Jake Tapper got wrong about that? She was not, in fact, a UGA student. She was an Augusta University student who was jogging on the UGA campus. Tapper had to come back a couple minutes later and apologize for getting that fact wrong. He said, hey, his message was fairly clear. I guess he was, fairly lucid. It's not as sharp as he used to. That's fine. David Urban, admittedly a Republican, employed by CNN as a talking head.
He seemed like Walt Kowalski. You talked about this earlier. He seemed like Walt Kowalski in Gran Torino screaming at kids, "Get off my lawn," like an old guy screaming at kids.
My guess.
He's an old guy. David Axelrod there is my guess people are going to love this speech where he was talking about kitchen table issues. Like, for instance, I don't know, when he was screaming randomly about Snickers bars.
Commercial on Snickers bars. And you get charged the same amount, and you got about, 10% fewer Snickers in it.
What? You got Snickers bars, 10%. Is he talking about the Snickers minis? Is he talking about like the fun size ones that you give away at Halloween? What's he talking? 10%? Is he saying the Snickers bar itself has gotten short? Blaming Snickers for the inflation that his policies caused. John King, veteran CNN anchor and reporter, noticed immediately that this was not a State of the Union address in the traditional sense, but rather a campaign stump speech.
This is the 36th of these for me, State of the Unions or presidential addresses at the beginning, first one being 1989. Never heard one so political. Never heard one that is such a campaign speech.
Have you not been listening to some of these? He is correct, though. I mean, Biden just screaming at the top of his lungs. He does this weird thing where he's constantly squinting. He really does look like the Jeff Dunham puppet Walter. I mean, it's uncanny how much the guy looks. Yeah, it probably is plastic surgery that the face has been pinned back so far and so many times that his eyes just don't open like they should. Okay, I'll grant you that. But it was just a whole lot of angry squinting. The target of his fire. Big Candy said he wants a 25% confiscatory tax on billionaires. You notice Bernie Sanders, by the way, millionaires and billionaires. It's no longer millionaires, it's billionaires. And this is because Biden, Bernie, Elizabeth Sanders. Hey, during the commercial break, they got me hopped up on all of the drugs that they had Biden on last night. So you'll have to forgive me. Elizabeth Sanders, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Barack Obama, all of the nation's preeminent socialists now have $1 million. But do you think AOC's net worth is $1 million right now? No. She'll get there. By the time that woman is 40, she will be worth $1 million. I guarantee. I can absolutely guarantee it. She somehow does have 2 homes in 2 of the most expensive places in the world to live, Washington, D.C. and New York. But nonetheless, it was always millionaires and billionaires, millionaires and billionaires, billionaires and millionaires, millionaires and billionaires. Now it's just billionaires. Bernie, by the way, was the last man standing, still wearing a mask at the State of the Union address last night. But what was interesting is I was watching before, when everybody's sort of milling about, he's talking to everybody without a mask. Cameras go on. He knows he's going to be on camera. So he's sitting, staring perfectly still ahead, looking at President Biden. He's got the mask on. I got to give credit. He's still going with the old Democrat. The mask goes on as soon as the cameras are running. 25% confiscatory tax, of course, was probably the biggest policy agenda that Biden was talking about in his speech last night. And what was this again? You're going to notice a theme for the rest of pretty much the campaign. It's a lengthy campaign, of course. Throughout the campaign, you are going to see Biden tacking farther and farther to the left, and this flies in the face of traditional political thought, where during the general election, you tack back to the middle after shoring up your base in the primary and appealing to the base's, pardon the pun, base instincts. Biden's not going to be able to do that. Biden has to shore up the left wing. He has no choice. The left wing is furious at him, primarily over support for Israel, primarily for continuing to allow Israel to exist, which is now a very unpopular position on the radical left. I never thought we would get this far in American leftist politics, where now Israel's right to exist is something you just can't support and be a mainstream Democrat, or you're going to face serious political repercussions. Moreover, the illegal immigrant crisis. The left is so freaked out about Biden actually calling an illegal murderer an illegal that this sort of ties his hands when it comes to what I think pretty much everyone just sort of thought. There's going to be a crackdown at the border at some point so that Biden can tell general election voters, now that illegal immigration is by far the number one issue on their minds, that he's doing something to stop the massive flow of illegal immigration that, of course, he caused. But what I heard and what I saw in this State of the Union was fascinating in that it indicates that Biden and his supporters, in what John King called the most political State of the Union he's ever heard, that it was basically an olive branch to the far left wing of his party. This tells me Biden's people are terrified that that far left isn't going to come home, no matter how much they tell them that Trump is the devil and can't possibly win. How bizarre. Coming up next, then Derek Van Orden here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Hiya, Dan here for my amazing friends at Built Right Furniture, Leather, and Mattresses. It's Built Right's Customer Appreciation Sales Event on now. Shop where the O'Donnell family shops. Now more than ever, it is the time to support Built Right, a locally and family-owned business for 4 generations and 96 years strong, with the best selection and team in town. March marks their 18th anniversary in their Greenfield location. Built Right's 45,000 square foot showroom has thousands of items in stock, plus 500 mattresses. Special and custom orders are faster in 2024. You'll get the lowest price on popular brands like Smith Brothers, Elran, Temple, Heirloom, Restonic, and Therapeutic. Built Right's one location always saves you money. Voted best place to shop and winner of the Home Furnishings Association Retailer of the Year. Shop Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday, they're closed to be with family. Tell them Dan sent you to Built Right at 54th and Layton in Greenfield.
Get your free Duct Doctor checkup from Capital Heating, Cooling, and Electric today.
All right, Doc, tell me the bad news.
I think we can save it.
But my air conditioner is weak.
What other symptoms are you having?
My energy bills are through the roof.
High energy costs are common.
I keep throwing money away on repairs.
Let me take your AC's blood pressure real quick. Oh boy.
What is it?
Your ductwork is too small.
Oh no.
Your whole system's gasping for breath.
Really?
Imagine running a marathon, having to breathe through a straw.
And that's causing all these symptoms?
Exactly. But Capital's Duct Doctors can fix it.
You can?
90% of houses have heat and air systems that can't breathe right.
That's crazy.
When we fix your ductwork, it's going to clear all your problems right up.
My AC will blow strong again?
Yes, sir.
And I'll save money on energy bills.
And repairs.
Woo! Doc, I've never felt better.
Get your free Duct Doctor checkup from Capital Heating, Cooling, and Electric today, or schedule online at callcapitalcares.com.
Federal authorities are spying on conservatives. They were just exposed for pressuring banks to look for transactions with keywords like MAGA, Trump, and Bible. This is not the America I know. Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and I am deeply concerned about the tyranny I see in Washington. And this is why I'm thankful for physical gold IRAs, because they offer tangible financial security that can't be tracked, stolen, or inflated. To find out more, text the word SECURE to 989898. Birch Gold Group will send you a free info kit on gold IRAs. This is your chance to secure your IRA or 401k against the unpredictable nature of our economy. Text SECURE to the number 989898 now to request your free info kit on gold IRAs. That's SECURE to 989898.
Message and data rates may apply. Paid for by Birch Gold Group.
How bizarre! How bizarre! How bizarre!
Well, this week we could have just played the entire Biden State of the Union and said, okay, that's the strangest thing that happened all week. You had interruptions and arrests from a Gold Star parent. You had a congressman yelling lies at him. You had Marjorie Taylor Greene actually getting Biden to say the name Laken Riley, only he said Lincoln Riley, who's the head football coach at USC. It was a bizarre night all the way. He got lost on the way up to the dais and then again on the way out of the chamber. The speech got delayed by protesters for a half hour. You know the man was doped to the high heavens so he could get through the speech. That's about the strangest thing that happened, but there were some fantastic stories this week. Stories that made us laugh, stories that made us scratch our heads, stories that made us say to ourselves,
how bizarre! How bizarre! How bizarre!
We laughed over and over at the people who were so scared of COVID that they did truly bizarre things. I think this one might take the cake. A 62-year-old man has been vaccinated against COVID 217 times. The case is documented in the Lancet Infectious Diseases Journal. The shots were bought and given privately within the space of 2 years and 5 months. The man appears to have suffered no ill effects, except for the fact that he now has 24 toes. Dr. Killian Schober from the university's microbiology department at the University of Erlangen-Nuremberg say, we learned about his case via newspaper articles. We then contacted him and invited him to undergo various tests. He was very interested in doing so. He provided fresh blood and saliva samples. They also tested some frozen blood samples of his that had been stored in recent years, and analyzing those blood and saliva samples found that there was nothing out of the ordinary. He has, since the study concluded, suffered 54 heart attacks, but besides that, no ill effects. I kid, it's a joke, but kudos to him. Now watch the guy gets measles in the next 2 weeks.
How bizarre! How bizarre! How bizarre!
To Anchorage, Alaska, where we went on the Dan O'Donnell cruise last year. Wonderful, wonderful spot. And as a result, I've taken a lot of interest in this year's Iditarod, the massive dog sled race. We learned all about the dog sled race. We've got pictures of our family at the starting line of the Iditarod in Anchorage. It's a ceremonial start. But Iditarod officials imposed a 2-hour time penalty on a musher by the name of Dallas Seavey. Can you guess why? He shot a bear? Not quite. He killed a moose, which was fine, but he improperly gutted it. They convened a 3-person panel of race officials to investigate the circumstances surrounding the death of the moose, which became tangled with Seavey and his dog team early Monday, about 12 hours after the race officially started. One dog was injured and flown back to Anchorage for care, and Seavey, having you-know-whats the size of coconuts, just shot the moose, said, all right, sorry, moose. If a musher kills a big game animal like a moose, a caribou, or buffalo in defense of life or property during the race, rules require that the gutted animal be reported to officials at the next checkpoint. Used a handgun to kill the moose about 14 miles outside the village of Squentna at 1:30 a.m. 1:30. Now, I don't know, is it still light out in Anchorage at 1:30? According to the panel's findings, Seavey spent about 10 minutes at the kill site and then mushed his dog team about 11 miles before camping on a 3-hour layover. The team then departed at about 6 a.m. for the next checkpoint, arriving in Finger Lake at 8 a.m., where Seavey reported the kill. He said, it fell on my sled. It was sprawled on the trail. I gutted it the best I could, but it was ugly. Apparently too ugly and too late reported for the Iditarod officials, which assessed a 2-hour penalty. Now, I wish this guy would have gutted the whole thing and worn it like a caribou or like an Inuit king with the antlers out there, like mushing it. I know who I'm rooting for in the Iditarod this year.
How bizarre! How bizarre! Calvazon.
Yeah, Dallas Seavey, as Dave reminds me, he's actually won 5 Iditarods, I believe, so he's one of the best that's ever done it. Finally, on How Bizarre, Jalen Hall thought he was being scammed when a recruiter reached out on LinkedIn about a job moderating YouTube videos back in 2020. Months after she earned a master's degree in criminal justice, her only job had been at a law firm investigating discrimination cases, but the offer was real. And Hall, who is black and deaf, sailed through the interviews at Google. She'd be part of a new in-house moderation team of about 100 people called Wolverine, trudging daily through freezing weather to offices in suburban Detroit during the early pandemic. When she accepted the job, the recruiter said via email that a sign language interpreter would be provided and can be fully accommodated. That assurance unraveled within days of joining Google. And her experience at the company has been so difficult that she is now suing. The kicker? Hall, when she was hired, was featured on Google's corporate social media accounts because, of course, she's black and she's deaf, and she was celebrated, quote, for making #life@Google more inclusive. She's now sued Google, saying the company discriminated against her on the base of her race and her disability. Way to go, Google. Your fake wokeness inspires us all. Hall now, by the way, works on responsible use of AI at Google. And by all available accounts, according to Wired.com, she is the company's first and only black, deaf employee. The doubt. When the woke turn against each other, I smile, I laugh, and of course, I have to feature the story on our weekly look back at the strangest stories of the week.
How bizarre! How bizarre! How bizarre!
Don't go anywhere. We talk with Derek Van Orden, Congressman, about yelling out lies during the State of the Union address last night. Dan O'Donnell's show, back in a second.
Hi, Regular Joe Gigante here, reaching out at a critical moment for our republic. Right now, the very foundation of our democratic process is under threat by Robin Vos and his cronies. They're spreading falsehoods claiming a recall election would cost $450,000 and unfairly divert funds from vital services like EMS. This is a deliberate attempt to mislead and manipulate the public and simply isn't true. But why resort to such tactics? Well, simply put, Robin Vos fears the power of accountability. If they're willing to lie about this, what else are they willing to lie about? Concerns even extend to personal extravagances like Voss's lavish trip to Italy, where he held his most recent wedding. What are they trying to hide? The Voss Mafia is playing dangerous games with our democratic values. It's time to hold Robin Vos and his sycophants accountable by signing the recall petition against Robin Vos. Join the thousands of your neighbors in signing the petition. Visit recallvos.com. recallvos.com for more information.
Paid for by Recall Voss.
Dan O'Donnell here for This Week with Annex Wealth Management. Dave Spano, the president and CEO of Annex, also with me. And this week, it feels especially bullish in the markets, Dave.
Yeah, it really does. There's a bullish sentiment that is certainly sweeping. And it really is something that we've seen throughout the beginning of this year as well, partly because it's a presidential election year. And this is normal. If you go back for the last 12 or 13 elections, you see that we generally have a positive year in a presidential election year. And so that's what we're seeing here, number one. And number two, of course, that the Federal Reserve is hinting that sometime this year they're going to turn around and start cutting rates. You know, we all know that for 18 months they were raising rates, they then paused, and they're going to turn around and start cutting rates. So a combination of those two things are really playing into this sentiment, Dan. The other thing that you're going to see, of course, is that it begins to build on itself. So you get the old FOMO, the fear of missing out, starting to come into play, and that's what we're starting to have happen. But folks, you got to be careful and know what you own. And the reason why is because you can't blindly just put money to work. You have to make sure it fits into your risk profile, it fits into your asset allocation, and most importantly, it helps you get to the goals that you're trying to establish, and we can help with those ideas.
Yeah, and that website is annexwealth.com, because in times of uncertainty, and we think that election years are going to be a good year, we think that the bullish sentiment is going to continue, we think there's going to be some FOMO, no one ever really knows. So you need to be positioned for any and every possible outcome. And one thing that we do know about this market and about every market is that any outcome is possible. Get your free wealth metric at annexwealth.com. For Dave Spano, President and CEO of Annex, I'm Dan O'Donnell. This has been This Week with Annex Wealth Management.
I'm Brett Ochtenhagen, owner of Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services. Most people know us as a trusted landscape contractor, but did you know that we've been crafting decorative concrete and masonry features for almost 30 years? All concrete is not the same. Do you know what to ask for when planning a landscape project that includes concrete? For example, there are many types of concrete mixes available, and if you don't request a premium mix, you'll likely get a bargain mix, and a driveway or patio made with a bargain mix is not a bargain at all. We use only premium concrete mixes from trusted producers, and our decorative concrete and masonry features are crafted by our own artisans, not subcontractors. There's so much to consider when preparing for your landscaping project. Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services has been serving southeastern Wisconsin since 1994. We are an established, trusted landscape contractor. Please call 262-392-3444 or look for us online at seasonalservices.com.
So he said to me, "You're giving me the company line, but why do you think that Marvin Windows and Doors are truly the best?" And I said, "Bob, all I can go by is my family's 50 years of experience. With the reputation we have, we could carry almost any brand. But I need to know that I'm not just selling the company line. So before we chose a lead brand, we examined what was out there, and we chose Marvin." This is David Wilhelm. Marvin Windows and Doors are built around you, and they won't disappoint. And neither will the prices and selection you'll find at Lisbon Storm Screen and Door, because we're one of the nation's largest Marvin suppliers. And the products we carry that complement Marvin's lines, like Solar Seal caulk, aluminum trim coil, and window and door touch-up sprays, that even Marvin buys from us, are priced so right, we ship them to Marvin dealers from California to Vermont. So for window and door repair or replacement, your clear choice for more is Lisbon Storm Screen and Door.
Your clear choice for more, Lisbon Storm Screen and Door.
Find us at lisbonstorm.com.
Jesus said, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." Hello, this is Archbishop Listecki. Jesus boldly proclaims that his life is the temple that will be raised up, and nothing can destroy the sacrifice of his life on the cross. It is God's love freely given through his Son for our redemption. He offers his loving relationship in the Eucharist at Mass. It's Lent. Join us at Mass.
Church and Chapel Funeral Homes. Comfortable locations, comfortable people. Church and Chapel Funeral Homes. There's one near you.
Hello, I'm Joseph, owner of EWH University, where we help small businesses grow. Tune into WISN every Sunday at 11 a.m. and visit EWHuniversity.com to learn more. That's EWHuniversity.com.
Classical conservatism, contemporary style. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show. During last night's State of the Union address, Wisconsin Congressman Derek Van Orden interrupted President Biden's speech when he yelled lies to Biden, saying that President Trump failed in his basic duty, the duty to care for COVID-19 victims.
My predecessor failed the most basic presidential duty that he owes to American people, the duty to care. I think that's unforgivable.
Joining me now, live on the phone, Congressman Derek Van Orden. Sir, good morning to you.
Hey, Dan. How you doing, man?
So you yelled lies. Could you just take no more? What was that?
Well, here's the issue. That was not a State of the Union address. That was a Democrat campaign rally, and I think it was in direct violation of the Hatch Act. So he brought up President Trump no fewer than 11 times, and he did a political rally on the floor of the House of Representatives, and it's reprehensible. And one of the things, and it's proven true if you look at his track record of abandoning thousands of American citizens and our allies to the terrorists in Afghanistan, abandoning the hostages that have been held in Gaza, leaving the border wide open where over 100,000 American citizens have been poisoned by fentanyl that's been sent here by the Chinese Communist Party. The fact that we've had countless numbers of American citizens brutalized, raped, and murdered by illegal aliens. What President Biden doesn't understand is that the basic thing the President of the United States is supposed to do is to protect American citizens' lives. And he has failed on that from day one when he reversed the incredibly successful Trump-era policies. And here's the problem with the Republican Party, Dan, is that we sit there and got lectured by someone who clearly is hopped up on something or another, who went from mumbling to raging, and nobody says anything. If President Trump had delivered 1/10 of the amount of political rhetoric that Biden did last night, the left side of the chamber probably would have screamed their heads off and got up and walked out. So the time for Republicans to be silent and listen to this is over. My constituents and Republicans around the country and conservatives and those who just love their country and their family and want to live in peace and prosperity think that there's no one standing up for them. And frankly, there isn't a whole lot of people doing it on the Republican side. President Trump did that in his first 4 years, and he's going to do that again when he gets reelected. But I'm not going to sit for over an hour and listen to someone conduct a political speech during what is supposed to be an agnostic discussion of the state of the union. I'm not going to sit there and listen to that. The American public needs to know that we understand that the Biden administration has made this country and this world a much less safe place to live in, and it's time for us to stand up. The silent majority has gone for too long, and we've got some knuckleheads on the other side of the aisle, including one from Madison, who doesn't seem to understand or care about this. So that speech was supposed to be delivered, and the quote is time to time, where the chief executive is supposed to come over and tell everybody what's going on in the nation. And that was a blatant, gross example of a politicization of a speech that is supposed to be a unifying message. And we're just not going to take that any longer.
That knucklehead from Madison, Representative Mark Pocan, on Twitter, now X, said your behavior is unbecoming, calls on you to formally apologize to the president, says you are an unstable person and that you are, quote, certainly not capable of your job on Congress, he said. I believe he meant in Congress.
Dan, this is how the left tries to intimidate people. They exercise exactly the same tactics, techniques, and procedures that they did in Soviet Russia and China, in Mao's China. So what they're trying to do is stifle freedom of speech. That's what they're trying to do, and it's inappropriate, man. That speech could have been delivered by Joseph Stalin or Mao Zedong or President Xi. That was a grossly, unbelievably over-the-top political statement where the sitting president of the United States used an official position and a speech to deride the leading opposition candidate for his office. That's what took place last night, and we have to just start telling the truth. And people on the Democrat side, if President Trump had delivered 1/10 of the political messaging that Joe Biden did last night, they would have been up in arms.
In fact,
I reject what they're saying, and I'm not going to be intimidated by these people.
In
people
fact,
in the 3rd Congressional District and the state of Wisconsin need to understand that I'm here to defend them.
Congressman John King, of all people, the CNN anchor, actually bolstered what you're saying. This isn't just Derek Van Orden or Dan O'Donnell saying this. This is John King, totally objective, totally unbiased news anchor for CNN immediately after President Biden's speech. Take a listen to this, Congressman.
This is the 36th of these for me, State of the Unions or presidential addresses at the beginning, first one being 1989. Never heard one so political. Never heard one that is such a campaign speech.
Yeah, I don't think I have either. Now that I think about it, this was absolutely a campaign speech. And do you think this was designed to show skeptical Democrats and liberals, a bunch of whom were protesting his motorcade route? The reason I believe that he was a half hour late to his own State of the Union address. You had, who was it, Ilhan Omar or Rashida Tlaib and some of the other members of the squad holding up signs saying ceasefire in Israel. Israel ceasefire now, whatever the messaging was, that he's got real problems with his left flank, particularly because younger voters see him as old, as out of touch, as not representing them. Do you think, as I do, that this was sort of an attempt to assuage them by saying, yes, I do have the vim, I do have the vigor to take the fight to Trump, and it was essentially a campaign speech in that regard?
It was a campaign speech in every regard, Dan, and it was a desperate attempt for Joe Biden to kowtow to the farthest extreme folks in his party on the left. So the president of the United States is not, he's not conning this ship. He is being blown around in the ways would by anybody that has a louder voice at the moment. So he has, from the beginning of his administration, projected strategic weakness across the globe by abandoning Americans, which emboldened Vladimir Putin to invade Ukraine. And then when Hamas attacked Israel, they felt free to take American hostages, raping and murdering them, and they're still there being held in Gaza. And they know that there's not going to be consequences from the Biden administration. He's emboldened the mullahs in Iran by giving them more money, and he has been incapable or unwilling to stand up and protect American citizens. Dan, I'm never going to apologize for protecting American citizens. It's one of my campaign promises. And if that means I got to stand up and make a stink once in a while, well, that's so be it. When Biden sent his team over here to brief us about the about the attacks in Israel on October 7th, his entire B team that he sent over did not mention American hostages once, which goes right back to the fact of what President Biden said, that he thinks that the commander-in-chief's first responsibility is to care. The commander-in-chief's first responsibility is to protect American citizens. And if he's not going to do it, the Republicans here in Congress will do it to the best of our ability. So we got to understand, the people here in the House of Representatives on the Republican side have been fighting to protect Americans. We passed, it's H.R. 2, no one knows what that means, House Resolution 2. We passed the strongest bill to secure the border in the history of our country, and it's been sitting since May of last year on Chuck Schumer's desk. The President of the United States, Biden, has every single thing he needs, every power he needs to close the border, because we know that he just reversed President Trump's executive orders. So Biden reversed President Trump's executive orders, and he can reinstate them immediately. So the President of the United States and the Democrat machine has been lying through their teeth to the American public, and it's time that we just call them on it. We are too genteel party, and we get pushed around too much, and America and the world is suffering for it, and I'm just not going to do that anymore, man.
So Marjorie Taylor Greene, your fellow Congresswoman from Georgia, as well as a Gold Star father, you were talking about President Biden's duty to care for the people who serve under him as commander-in-chief. Gold Star father gets up and screams at the top of his lungs, Abbey Gate, the part of the Kabul airport where his son and a whole bunch of other Marines were killed killed in that disastrous, epic withdrawal failure by the Biden administration, which there's never really been any accountability for. He was actually arrested last night. Do you sort of thank your lucky stars that Biden didn't take you out of the gallery in handcuffs, given that this apparently is the standard now for exercising your First Amendment rights when you're not a member of Congress?
Well, that Gold Star father, it wasn't just Marines that died. There was a corpsman, a Navy corpsman, there's also 2 soldiers that died at Abbey Gate. And those 13 Gold Star families were created by Joe Biden's incompetence. So Joe Biden is directly responsible for that. Just as he is responsible for Laken Riley's death. And when he sat up there and said his heart breaks, I understand that. You know that we lost a child this last summer due to cancer. And it's great when someone says, I feel for you, your heart breaks for you. And I get that. And President Biden did lose his son to cancer also, so I understand that. But we can't control cancer. Can't control the cancer that killed our daughter. And President Biden couldn't control the cancer that killed his son, Beau. And I feel for the president. I understand the deep-seated and horrible pain that comes with losing a child. The difference between Beau Biden dying of cancer and our sweet Sydney dying of cancer and Laken Riley being brutalized and murdered by a criminal illegal alien is that the criminal illegal alien was only here because of Joe Biden's open border policies and his Department of Justice refusing to detain and deport criminal illegal aliens. That's why she's dead. And for the president to stand up there and say that his heart breaks with his parents, I understand that. I applaud that. But what he should have done is apologize deeply to Laken Riley's mom and dad because her daughter was brutalized and murdered by a criminal illegal alien that should have been detained and deported by Biden's Justice Department. But they're simply not doing their jobs. That is dereliction of duty. So that could have been a moment where he brought everyone together. That would have been a stellar moment if the president had said, not only does my heart break for you, I'm so sorry for these horrible policies that I've set that led directly to the death of your child. The Republican side of the House would have erupted with a standing ovation. We would have brought down the roof if that had happened, but he didn't. So he turned a moment that could have been unifying for the entire nation, a cathartic moment, into a grossly horrible political thing by ignoring the fact that he's responsible for Laken Riley's death. That's what took place last night. And I've had enough of that. The American public has had enough of that, Dan.
Yeah.
So we are going to stand up, and I encourage my fellow Republicans to stiffen your spine. Stand up for what is right and just say it. Marjorie and I know each other. We're colleagues, and I don't encourage that type of, jumping up and down and putting hats on and stuff like that. That's up to her if she wants to do it. I'm just not that kind of guy, but I'm also not the kind of guy that's going to sit there and be lied to blatantly. That man stood and he abused a platform, an official platform, to do a political speech in front of the entire planet to placate the farthest left elements of the Democrat Party in an election year. That was a direct violation of the Hatch Act.
Sir, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for explaining why. To hear you explain it, I completely think this is justified. You notice that there aren't too many people say, oh, this was such a horrible breach of decorum. The real breach of decorum was, in fact, using a constitutionally required State of the Union address as a political campaign. And I think you do have some merit to the Hatch Act argument. We are unfortunately approaching the end of this busy broadcast week, but sir, have yourself a wonderful weekend. Thanks for all you do. Really do appreciate talking to you.
You got it, Dan. I have to step out now because I had 60 of our constituents, young students from the district, and we're touring them around the Capitol right now.
Oh, nice.
On a plane and head back to God's country. So God bless you and your families. And everybody listening, I hope that God blesses you and your families. And I want you to know that the Republican Party here in the House is standing up for you, and we'll keep doing it every single day. So have a wonderful weekend. And again, God bless you all.
You too. He is Derek Van Orden, Wisconsin Congressman. I am Dan O'Donnell, and we will be right back.
If you own or manage a business and you need to fill a job, Thinkability Wisconsin encourages you to consider hiring people with disabilities. Listen to employers who've done just that.
We're helping someone find a purpose in the work world.
Really improved our overall culture by having, giving these individuals the opportunity to showcase what they can do.
Once you get into it, they can be the best employees you've ever had.
Start with yes and let Thinkability Wisconsin help you hire people with disabilities. It's a powerful, positive thing to do. Find out more at thinkabilitywi.org.
Hey, Dan O'Donnell here for the Lynch family of dealerships. I've been a big proponent of Lynch for a while now. Here's why. They're literally a family dealership and have been since 1957. That's increasingly rare in the dealership world today, but the Lynch family employs 500 plus people who are all dedicated to taking care of you. They've got a wide selection of new and used vehicles, extended service department hours for early drop-offs and late pickups, and most importantly, they're proud supporters of our local communities and schools. They also stand behind what they sell with Lynch certified used vehicles, including a 168-point inspection to determine eligibility, an unparalleled 90-day or 3,000-mile certified guarantee, and a 10-day 500-mile exchange policy. And when you pair this with the Lynch Protected program, they cover your paint, your windshield, and your tires. It's easy to see why you should consider Lynch. Check them out today at shoplynch.com.
Hi, Regular Joe Gigante here, reaching out at a critical moment for our republic. Right now, the very foundation of our democratic process is under threat by Robin Vos and his cronies. They're spreading falsehoods claiming a recall election would cost $450,000 and unfairly divert funds from vital services like EMS. This is a deliberate attempt to mislead and manipulate the public and simply isn't true. But why resort to such tactics? Well, simply put, Robin Vos fears the power of accountability. If they're willing to lie about this, what else are they willing to lie about? Concerns even extend to personal extravagances like Voss's lavish trip to Italy, where he held his most recent wedding. What are they trying to hide? The Voss Mafia is playing dangerous games with our democratic values. It's time to hold Robin Vos and his sycophants accountable by signing the recall petition against Robin Vos. Join the thousands of your neighbors in signing the petition. Visit recallvos.com. recallvos.com for more information.
Paid for by Recall Voss.
Whether it was from a burn, heat, water, or a candle wax spill, if you have a great piece of wood furniture that has a damaged top, don't worry, because if we have to, we can refinish tops only. Other places may say you need to refinish the whole piece, but we can do better than that. So don't let your great piece go to waste. If it's just the top you need refinished, or for jobs of any size, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com. He was told it would cost him $1,000 to refinish his chair. But when it was done, he'd be able to sell it for at least twice that, only to find out that he paid more to refinish the chair than it was actually worth. You gotta watch out for dishonest people out there, but not over here. With over 50 years of experience, we'll give you a good idea of the value of your piece and whether it's worth refinishing. So for honest answers, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. We're no job's too small. Serving everywhere. Quality counts.
No plumbing problem is too large or too small for S&K Pump and Plumbing Service Department. Their professional technicians can handle everything from faucet repair and drain cleaning to water heaters and garbage disposals, and then some. Whether it's repair or installation, they thrive on getting the job done neatly and efficiently. Call 262-784-HELP or visit SNKPump.com.
When it comes to water, one call does it all. SNK Pump and Plumbing.
Pure Talk believes in American values and that free should mean exactly that, free. Well, switch to Pure Talk today and you'll get a free Samsung 5G smartphone. Now, qualifying plans start at just $35 a month for unlimited talk, text, 15 gigs of data, and, of course, mobile hotspot. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword Pure Talk, claim your eligibility for your free brand new Samsung 5G smartphone. Start saving on wireless today and switch to my cell phone company, Pure Talk.
Hey, it's Jesse Kelly. Are you still on the fence about owning gold? It's time to pull the trigger with the Oxford Gold Group and buy gold and silver. Nobody can predict the future, but we can't put our head in the sand either. The Oxford Gold Group are the pros. They make owning gold and silver simple and easy to understand. Call Oxford Gold Group right now, and you may qualify for up to $10,000 in free precious metals. Call 833-995-GOLD. That's 833-995-GOLD.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Classical conservatism. Contemporary style. This is the Dan O'Donnell Show.
And we have a grand total of about 30 seconds. Not even to tell you that I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Rain's going to stop by about noon tomorrow. I think it's going to be a nice weather weekend. Get out and, well, even if it's not, get out, enjoy the weekend. We will reconvene Monday morning.